Hello, I'm Alison Roman. Welcome to a very special Q&A edition of Home Movies where you ask a Q and I give you an A. This Q&A is about cheesecake. You can tell because I'm wearing the same outfit. Okay, so we like to crowdsource, mostly using things like social media, Instagram. I've been doing these questions and answers for a really long time here, but basically what happens is like the story goes up, it's up for 24 hours, and it's like the question lives on in perpetuity. So instead of letting it exist for a mere 24 hours, we're here immortalizing it for your YouTube home movies enjoyment. And there are three that come up across the board. So I'm going to paraphrase for most people. My friend Hunter Abrams, speaking for hundreds and if not thousands of you, wants to know, is a water bath necessary? I'm pleased to report, Hunter and the millions of you also wondering, no, it's not. A water bath is for gently cooking custard, right? Something with lots of dairy, milk, cream, lots of eggs, egg yolks, sugar. You want it low and slow so it develops this like really creamy custardy texture. I've never found that to be necessary for cheesecake because there's so much cream cheese in it, which has, stabilizers in it. It is thick. It's already emulsified properly. It's already thick. It's already creamy. It's already silky. So I like to bake it at 325, which is still a very low temperature. I'm still baking it low and slow. I just don't need the water. And I've done it with and without. And without it, I never felt the need to have it. I beg of you, please try my cheesecake recipe and tell me if you think it needs a water bath, because to me it comes out creamy, smooth, silky, delicious, no cracks on top. It's perfect. How do you prevent the top from cracking? I didn't know this before I did my own research, but the top cracks, when you overbake it, because it basically like starts to split and dry out and it souffles and then falls, meaning like it needs somewhere to go, so it cracks and then it falls back down. But the second reason that cheesecake cracks is a fluctuation in temperature. So we're baking our cheesecake low and slow, 325. And then oftentimes what people do is they take it from the oven and they put it right into the fridge to cool down. There's something about the temperature change that causes things to like seize up in a weird way and like contract quicker than they should. It's bad, and that's what causes the crack. So what I do is as soon as the cheesecake is done baking, I turn off the oven and I let it sit in the oven for like another 10 minutes, just residual heat, but not active heat. It's just kind of cooling down slowly. I put it on the counter, I let it cool almost to room temperature on the counter, and then I transfer it to the fridge and to chill completely. Never have I ever seen a crack. It's smooth, it's pure, it's beautiful, it's crack-free. That also said, cracks are fine. If it cracks, just smooth some whipped cream over the top, smooth a little layer of sour cream, like you're fine. It's not the end of the world. You just might notice that the interior texture of your cheesecake is feeling a little dry because again, it's either an overbaking or too rapid of a fluctuation in temperature. So avoid either of those things and you should be crack-free. And then the third most popular question is probably, how do you get your crust to not be either too crumbly or too soggy? For me, I think a soggy crust results when you have too much butter in your crust because you're looking for like really wet sand texture. And so you add more melted butter and you're like, oh, this feels like wet sand. You make your crust, you bake it, you pour the thing in, da-da-da. That's always gonna kind of be like soggy, wet, melted butter crumbs. And we don't want that. And if it's too sandy, it means you didn't put enough butter in it. So one of those two reasons. Another thing, I think oftentimes people put too much crust. And if it's too thick, it's always gonna kind of be like spongy or soft or soggy, like soggy crumbs. You want enough crust so that it just like holds the filling. And the bottom stays crunchy and golden brown. And the top of the crust where it meets the filling just gets like softened slightly by the interior, but not so much that it's like soaked crumbs. My friend Lee wants to know, what's your favorite fruit topping or other way to brighten it up? Well, Lee, I'm so glad you asked. I love citrus zest in my cheesecake. I added equal parts orange zest, lemon zest. To me, it gives you like a really nice bright creamsicle flavor without distracting too much from the reason you're there, which is the cream cheese. Other ways that you can do it, it's tough because each jam is very much a different sweetness level, but like a spoonful of raspberry jam swirled over the top, or blackberry jam, strawberry jam, marmalade can be really nice. But again, I try to avoid adding anything that has additional sugar to the filling because it's already, to me, perfectly calibrated for sweetness. You can add a little bit of citrus juice, but in my cheesecake recipe, I already include sour cream, which is tangier than cream cheese, and to me sort of does what you would want citrus juice to do. But say you don't have any sour cream, using full-fat Greek yogurt or labna is a great substitution and will also give you like a really rich, sort of tangy, delicious cheesecake flavor base. Is David single and will he bring me a cheesecake? I can't answer that because I can't speak on behalf of David. Do you need to own a springform pan? You don't need to own a springform pan, but again, I really advocate for the use of a springform pan. I use it for my tarts, my galettes, my pies, my deep dish galettes, for summer puddings, for ice cream cakes. Like, I use my springform pan probably more than any other baking dish I own, and that includes pie plates and cake pans. So I highly recommend investing in a 9-inch springform pan. 9-inch is the standard. It's easy to use, easy to clean, easy to love. Why does it literally take 15 hours? That's funny. It doesn't take 15 hours. It's actually quite quick. You'll see in the video, it actually only took me as long to make the filling as it did for my crust to bake the first time. And then the filling takes 20 to 30 minutes, depending on your oven. We could say 35 max. And then yes, you do need to chill it for about, let's call it 3 hours total. But let's say total, it takes 4 hours to make. And a lot of that's a downtime. A lot of that's like just waiting. You're waiting for it to bake, you're waiting for it to chill. But the actual making of it, like the ingredient list is so short, you're not even dirtying that many measuring cups. It's like a pretty low fuss dessert, actually. Who invented cheesecake? I don't know, Google it. Well, I mean, this isn't the History Channel. Thoughts on using feta? Now that's a question, and my thought is don't do it. Best gluten-free base. Find a gluten-free cracker you like and just use it in place of your graham cracker. Alternatives for graham cracker crust. Huge fan of Biscoff, although I would omit the sugar, the additional sugar, because they're much sweeter than graham crackers. Ginger snaps are great. Any sort of like Nilla wafer can be good. I would also omit the sugar there too. Any sort of like crumbly, sandy, toasty, delish cookie. How do you tell when it's done? You can tell that it just sort of jiggles just so. Like you tap it, you sort of like give it a little push, and it should wobble a little bit, almost like Jell-O. It should never be totally set.
Could you do the wobbling thing again, just so we know?
Wobbling. Can flavored like pumpkin or matcha cheesecake ever be as good as classic? I don't think so. I think the reason we're all there is for the cream cheese, and that's what we want to taste. We want to eat lots of cream cheese in a crust. Which brings me to my next question. What is your favorite cream cheese? It's got to be Philadelphia every time. It's been Philadelphia my whole life. It's a perfect product. It's never changed. It's consistent. It's the same in New York as it is in LA, as it is in Philadelphia. It's never gonna fail you. It is a consistent and perfect ingredient. Got a lot of Philadelphia cream cheese fans in the queues. My 4-year-old who watches your videos with me asks, does it actually have cheese? Yeah, cream cheese. The best cheese. On that note, thank you so much to Philadelphia Cream Cheese for sponsoring this episode. We hope we have answered all of your questions. And if not, please tune into our cheesecake video, which I'm sure will, answer more of your questions.
We don't like water baths.
No, we don't. We don't use them here. Not in this house.